echo what Martin said. I'm really very proud about the achievements of this program. We had this event in Brussels in September, which was organized by the colleagues from Iceland and Palatsky, so mainly Niels, Maria, Svandis, and Freya, who organized really a brilliant event. We had their external guests as well to discuss what we are doing. And I think now we want to take the opportunity to highlight a few topics. So we have some speakers, as Martin mentioned, but more importantly, I'm personally also looking very much forward in how we bring that forward in terms of strategic pathways of research and innovation. Also, looking at the current developments at the European Commission. As you know, the funding schemes are about to be, or they are shaping. We don't know yet how that may look like, but so this is, let's say, exciting times. So I think in 25 we will have more clarity here. And so I think it's very good that we have this discussion here today. So with that, I'd like to pass on to Svandis. And Svandis will give you an overview what RNI had been done. Svandis.
Yes, thank you, Ramon. I'm going to share with you some slides to give you an insight into the Aurora RI project. Let's see. And it's always the big question, do you see my slides? Okay, thank you. Yeah, as I said, I wanted to give you a bit of an insight into the Aurora RI project that ended on October 31st. The project, which had the name Aurora Alliance Research and Innovation for Societal Impact, or Aurora RI in short. It's a project funded as part of the Science with and for Society under the Horizon 2020 program from the European Commission. It started on the 1st of October 2021, so it's been running now for 3 years. University of Iceland was the coordinating body of this project, but all of the Aurora universities were participants in the project. Let's see. Yeah, the call that this project was part of was through the European universities. The universities that had received funding through the Erasmus Plus pilot call in 2019 and 2020 were invited to send in proposal for this call. The aim of the call was to support the development of joint strategies or vision documents and concrete action plans empowering the European universities' research and innovation transformations. Aurora was eager to participate in this pilot call and sent in a proposal with the aim to develop a research and innovation support agenda and to build bridges between Aurora researchers through collaboration on research support. Sorry. All the universities that were part of the Erasmus Plus Alliance were part of the Aurora RI, although University of East Anglia left the project at the beginning of this year. The call text set out 7 transformation modules for the alliances that were based on the ERA policy agenda. These 7 transformation modules were developing a common research and innovation agenda and action plan, sharing research infrastructure and other resources, developing and deploying strategies to reinforce cooperation with non-academic actors, especially academia business cooperation, mainstreaming of comprehensive open science practices, to involve and engage citizens, civil society, public and city authorities in research and innovation, strengthening human capital, enabling balanced brain circulation and gender balance, and explore joint structures across European universities on technical activities common to all European universities, facilitating collaboration and activity, finding obstacles and solutions that could be common to all alliances, as well as clustering activities to share best practices on research and innovation. These 7 transformation modules were set forward in the call, and Aurora chose to go for all of the transformation modules for the Aurora RI project. In our proposal, the 7 transformation modules were met with 7 objectives lined up to match these modules, with the aim to strengthen the research and innovation capacity in the Aurora universities through the sharing of best practices both within the alliance and with other alliances. These 7 objectives were addressed in the project through the 7 work packages, with 5 thematic work packages on sharing of research infrastructure and resources, strengthening cooperation on entrepreneurial activity, empowering human capital, sharing and implementing open science practices, and engaging citizens and society. 2 work packages, number 2 and number 9, relied on the results from these 5 work packages, where work package 2 drew from their conclusions, developing a shared support plan for research and innovation in Aurora, while work package 9 used the results to feed into learning and sharing with other European alliances. We will not have time to maybe go through all of the results and the tasks within the Aurora RI project, but in this presentation, we will try to give you a bit of an insight on how we organized the work and what were the main results coming from it. The overarching description of the tasks that we set out for each work package was basically to map out best practices and design means to communicate the identified best practices through maps, frameworks, programs, modules, communities, designs of facility, and roadmaps. One of the final deliverables of the Aurora RI project is a roadmap for shared support plan, and that roadmap summarizes the results of other work packages and draws on the main conclusion on how we can continue our collaboration in research and innovation in Aurora. This roadmap will serve as an insight and give you an example of the work that has been done over the last 3 years. And in this presentation, although it's just basically one of each of the items that we have done. The roadmap is made up by these 6 core building blocks from one of each of the thematic work packages and from work package 2. These are the results that we feel that is important and that we need to continue working on together, and also that it's possible for us to do so even if we don't have resources or funding to do so. That way we can continue to foster and deepen research and innovation collaboration in Aurora. The 6 building blocks that we have identified, the most important ones for this roadmap, is a joint online platform for Aurora research services, an interactive map of key resources and memorandum of understanding on how to share these research infrastructure, exchange visits and a plan for capacity building for innovation activities, and a coffee talk series called Aurora in Conversation, a joint skills development framework for researchers, open science training modules and open science communities, and a design for an engagement facility for citizen engagement. these are the main building blocks for the roadmap that we have gathered from the Aurora project, but our main input to the roadmap is our continued desire and willingness to collaborate, to work together in research and innovation support, and to continue to foster this collaboration between our researchers. The roadmap also relies on a foundation of what we have learned during this project about our universities and about ourselves. It's one point, the feasibility of our collaboration and how deep we should go into the collaboration, and how we can mitigate the challenges and overcome the barriers that we have found during this journey. The feasibility study that was done within the project came to the conclusion that the most beneficial way to further foster joint research support structure is to focus on bringing researchers together around funding opportunities, while at the same time encouraging research support staff to exchange best practices in research management and administration. So our basic conclusion was that we would like to have funding opportunities, and this have we been addressing through the Aurora 2030 project, where we have found ways to have networking funding for research groups within the Alliance. We also want to continue the work with the research support, because that's as kind of the ground for Aurora RI project was a collaboration with the research support services, meaning that if we can work together, if we can find the best practices, if we can, that way we can support our researchers, and we know what to expect from each other when it comes to research support. When it comes to acknowledging that we have some challenges and barriers that we need to take into account when we are continuing our collaboration, we identified several clusters of challenges, meaning local legislation. There was the question of EU membership that actually came into realization for us when University of East Anglia left the program at the beginning of the year. Lack of awareness, both within our own institutions and nationally. Structural differences between the universities. The involvement and how to engage academics in our collaboration as well. Capacity and lack of resources, and then language of culture. We thought about ways how to mitigate or even overcome some of these barriers. And what we realized was that we need a strategic approach to the participation in projects, acknowledging that not everyone needs to be involved in everything. We might need to take into account local legislation. We need to take into account structural differences between the universities when designing projects. We also found out that by increasing the visibility of Aurora, making researchers more aware of the possibilities and the opportunities that the Aurora cooperation creates, that this would help us in gathering more research collaboration and research groups. And by getting better and wider knowledge and sharing between the research managers and the research support offices in Aurora, we built institutional trust. We have both individual trust amongst those working in research support in the Aurora universities, but we also feel that the institutions trust and know each other. In this roadmap that we built, one of the main deliverable was how we can foster the collaboration and how we can maintain the collaboration between the research support offices. One of the deliverables within Work Package 2, which was the overarching work package was led by Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam, was to create a platform for research managers and administrators to share information and knowledge. From the conclusion from our discussions during this time was that we needed two types of platforms. We needed an external one with information about the universities, information about research support expertise and infrastructure, research support tools that the universities have access to, and the contact persons that we could share publicly on the Aurora website, making it easy for researchers and other stakeholders to keep in touch with us. The other one was an internal platform where we could share more sensitive information amongst ourselves. And that's just where we even decided we could share our failures in research management or in research management. And this is a internal platform with limited access and managed access. We also, another building block in the Aurora research roadmap is the Aurora Research Infrastructure Map. The Aurora universities host a wealth of relevant resources for research, and by sharing these resources, we aim at not only highlighting the many different areas of activity within Aurora, but also to foster a sense of a community among Aurora researchers. This will continue to serve as a tool for researchers to explore collaboration possibilities within Aurora, and will especially be important to build our Aurora research community. The map is accessible on the Aurora website. It's easy to update and we will continue to update it in the years to come. Another part of this was a memorandum of understanding signed by all the Aurora partners and associated partners on how to share research infrastructure and resources within Aurora, which shows the dedication from the universities and the willingness to collaborate in research and innovation. To reach the objective of reinforcing cooperation with non-academic actors, especially academia business cooperation, a running series of quarterly coffee talk was set up and scheduled under the name Aurora in Conversation With. The talks are aimed at research offices and technology transfer offices, but also have the possibility to be extended to the researchers as well. Based on an analysis that was done, these coffee talks focus on the themes of priorities that were identified in this mapping exercise, best practices collected from all of the universities, and identifying the capacity building areas that we wanted to focus on. The example that we have here on this slide is a talk on identifying innovation potentials with the help of an innovation search engine that was held at University of Duisburg Essen in December 2023. To meet the objective of empowering and strengthening human capital at Aurora universities, an Aurora skills development framework was developed. The framework is based on information on training courses available at each university that cover the domains identified under the researcher development framework. And it sets forth examples on how to organize training and what training is available at each university under the themes of critical thinking and problem solving, project management, communication skills, teamwork and collaboration, and ethics and integrity. The next step after the end of the Aurora RI project is to develop ways to turn the courses that we have identified into regular courses for Aurora staff and PhD students, for example, through an Erasmus Plus blended intensive training program. Sander Bosch from Vrije Universiteit will give you a more detailed insight into the work done for open science in Aurora RI and how we have found ways to share and implement open science practices in in our collaboration with the use of training programs and open science communities. The building block from work package 7 on engaging citizens and society is a design for a facility for Aurora researchers to engage with local communities. Within such a facility, which could be a science shop, social lab, co-creation lab, or mini public for deliberation, researchers are supported to engage with local communities, develop shared research questions, co-create projects, and address local societal challenges. We have accomplished a lot through the 36 deliverables in the project, but the overall results from the project rely on the fact that we have built institutional trust in Aurora by building up trust between individuals at the university. This have we done through the sharing of best and even worst practices. And we have found ways to share these opportunities that we have identified, and we can rely on the structures that we have within the Aurora network that have been in place since before the project started. So we can continue to work on it under these structures. But the main lessons that we have learned is that we are willing and eager to work together on research and innovation matters. We want to continue to look for opportunities to work together through international and national funding initiatives, and we will continue to build bridges between Aurora researchers. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Svandís. Thank you for this very nice overview. And I can imagine it's pretty hard to summarize in a few minutes what you've done in a couple of years. So thank you for this overview. And it's pretty remarkable, your achievements. And I think one of the last remarks you made is probably more valuable than all the content that's, you mentioned trust and building of the network. So so thank you all engaged here in this project. I would like to move on to deepen a little bit the discussion. So which would mean I would like to invite Sander Bos and Gudmundur. So Sander from the Freie Universität and Gudmundur Halfdanarson from the University of Iceland to provide their perspective. I will start with Sander. So Sander is the Chief Open Science Officer here at Freie Universität Amsterdam, and he was actively involved. So Sander, please, we are looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Ramon, for this introduction. I think you can see my screen now, right? Perfect. So yeah, indeed, my name is Sander Bos. I was the co-lead for Work Package 6 within Aurora RI on open science and specifically sharing and implementing open science practices. So what I'd like to start with is a very short introduction to what is open science. This is basically what we started out, what we started our discussion within our task team on, because if you go, for example, to Wikipedia, you see many different ideas on what open science is. You see an umbrella, you see a tree, it's open access, it's also open education, open hardware. What does belong and what doesn't belong to what open science is? So we were hugely helped by the UNESCO recommendation, which was adopted around the same time that the Aurora RI project started. And to me, for the first time, this gave a definitive and a very widely accepted definition of what open science is. And what I like a lot, and that's why I want to start my presentation with this, is that it broadens the definition of what open science is from not only making scientific knowledge openly accessible, available, reusable for everyone, but it broadens that definition to increasing scientific collaborations, sharing of information for the benefits of science and society. And last but not least, opening the processes of scientific knowledge creation, evaluation, communication to actors beyond the traditional scientific community. And I think specifically, if we look at the values that these aims belong to, they are quality and integrity, which were also always part of the open science movement, but also equity, diversity, inclusion of different groups of people, and the collective benefit. And so I think the social mission of Aurora as a consortium really fits well with these values, and that therefore also with this framework for open science. So if we put all of that together, then we get open science, a very value-driven, which works very nicely within our mission at Aurora. So if we talk then about scope, the UNESCO recommendation also broadened the scope of what this entails. It doesn't only link to responsible research. It also links to open education, and it links to public engagement and impact. So we've moved a lot from the times that open science was basically open access to publications. Right now, within the research domain, it's also about data, it's about software, it's about opening this research process itself, sharing more information earlier in the process, for example, a pre-registration, opening up, say, things like peer review, opening up the ways that you create your hardware. So the breadth of topics under this umbrella has been steadily growing. Under public engagement and impact, valorization, societal valorization has become a part of that, science communication, but also actively involving citizens into the research process. This was specifically what Work Package 7 was about. So that was briefly introduced by Svandis just now. For open education, we're talking about open educational resources, but also about a pedagogy, for example, formats. So, of course, within Aurora RI, the focus was on the research domain. And as I said, the impact pillar here was covered by Work Package 7. So I will focus for the rest of this presentation mostly on the work that we've done within the research domain. So what we decided as a group is that we would group our activities along a few dimensions, a few requirements for open science. And we based this model on a blog post by Brian Nosek from the Center for Open Science at Stanford University. And he talks about 5 different requirements. So first one is infrastructure. We need to make it possible for our researchers, teachers to work transparently. They need to have the right tools. Then support and training. We need to make it easy. Our academics need to have the knowledge how to use these tools, the skills to work openly. Then community engagement. If we want to make it normative, it's really important that we bring together people that are enthusiastic about changing the way they do science, so that they can learn and learn from each other and inspire each other. So community engagement is a very strong theme here in making open science the norm. Then recognition and rewards. This is something that is progressing very quickly now with the Coalition for Advancing Research Assessment, COARA, which is also one of the topics that is covered in Aurora 2030 in 5.1. If we want to create a more transparent science, we need to recognize and reward the effort and time that goes into that. So we need to make it rewarding. We need incentives for that. We cannot reasonably expect our academics to change the way they do their work if we do not explicitly recognize and reward them for this. And then last but not least, of course, there's also an institutional statement, or within the Aurora Consortium, we can make statements, policies, towards transparency and openness. So this was the framework that we used for basically all of our deliverables. So they map nicely onto this framework. In deliverable 6.1, we created an Aurora Open Science Monitor, and I will go into these deliverables in a minute. For deliverable 6.2, we created a knowledge base of all the policies, trainings, documents that we had that related to open science, so that we could learn from each other. For example, at Vrije Universiteit, we don't have an open education policy, but at Duisburg Essen, you do, right? So we could learn from each other and see what these documents are, what the process towards these policies were, so that we can inspire each other also at within our task team. Then community engagement. We created a network of open science communities at our different local Aurora universities. And we pooled together our training on open science and research data management. So we opened up our training resources. I'd be very happy to go into each of these deliverables in a bit more detail. So deliverable 6.1, the Open Science Monitor. In the grant proposal for RI, it said this, adding an open science function to our Aurora SDG dashboard. As you may remember, within the first Erasmus Plus project, the first Aurora project, there was a task team working on a dashboard for the societal sustainable development goals. A dashboard that would basically give an indication of our research output at the different universities, and then map those onto the 17 SDGs. This was a beautiful dashboard, but at the end of the project, there was the question of how to make this sustainable, because building a dashboard is one thing, maintaining it is something else. So what really helped us was a memorandum of understanding with OpenAir. You see the logo there, and a big European service provider for open science, which allowed us to go beyond this original plan, and we to build together with OpenAir an Aurora Open Science Monitor. So instead of adding open science to our SDG dashboard, we are adding SDGs to this huge European project, the OpenAir Open Science Monitor. So what that looks like is like this. So we have we've delivered this this dashboard, this Aurora Open Science Monitor. It pulls together a lot of information about the research outputs that we have at the different Aurora universities. This is only step one. I will get back to what we are going to do in the future with this. But the deliverable for RI, for 6.1 here, is that we have this monitor and we can start building on this. Then 6.2, a knowledge base on open science. I mentioned it previously. So what we did is we created a survey and spread it among all the Aurora partner universities to pool together all the resources, tools, policies, practices at our different local institutions. And what we built is a huge database with all of these documents, but also a letter of recommendation to each of our institutions, pooling together the best practices, the good practices that we have at our Aurora universities already. We've mapped these to these 5 requirements, so you can see the different recommendations here. We recommend that Aurora universities signal their commitment to open science by incorporating those principles, practices in policies. I mentioned, for example, this open education policy. We recommend that we embrace transparent research evaluation processes. So I mentioned the Coalition for Advancing Research Assessment. And we try to avoid inappropriate use of metrics, like the journal impact factor, for example. what we would like to do is foster these grassroots open science communities. I will get back to those. We like to integrate open science skills development. What we noticed is when we pooled this all of our resources and training opportunities is that we were all inventing the same wheel. Within a consortium like Aurora, with the trust that was already mentioned, we can actually open up our training opportunities to each other, and thereby save quite a bit of time and expand the training curriculum that we have at each of our different local institutions. And then we'd like to encourage the creation and usage of infrastructures to make the entire research cycle open. The Open Science Monitor is one of the pieces for that puzzle. We have this report, of course, following our own principles, practicing what we preach. All of these deliverables are on Zenodo, an open database within our Aurora community. So if you, I can share these slides. These are all available to read through. Then I'm very happy with this one. I mentioned it already. Open science training modules. What we noticed was that we were reinventing the wheel, all of us. So when we created a list of the open science and research data management training opportunities that we had, we immediately noticed that we could open them up to each other, and that's what we did. So between November and April of November last year and April of this year, we created a few modules for open science skills, specifically targeted now for early career researchers at Aurora universities. And this is relevant because within Aurora 2030, we'd like to broaden this curriculum to also include research support. So this is just a few examples of what these modules were about. We had a few sessions on learning basic software and data skills, like Shell, Git, intro to Python and R programming via the carpentries. There was also a workshop on advanced software and data skill training via the Code Refinery, and these were open to all Aurora universities, and I'm really happy to say that there was attendance and interest from all of our partner universities. Then using a DMP Online or Data Stewardship Wizard for data management planning, what we noticed was that most of the Aurora universities already use DMP Online or Data Stewardship Wizard, so we could easily open up our tool trainings to all of the universities. Then using the Open Science Framework, which is a data management tool for research management. And a part of this memorandum of understanding with OpenAir that I talked about previously was that we also would make use or collaborate on training, because OpenAir, next to their monitor, they also have quite a few tools that they host, like, for example, Zenodo as a publishing platform, but also Amnesia for data anonymization. So we had a few sessions on the OpenAir tools in collaboration with our OpenAir friends. The full list is also available here, but I'm very happy to say that within our task team going into Aurora 2030, we all agreed that it's very useful to keep doing this. We can easily go on with opening up these types of trainings to other Aurora universities. And then last but not least, these open science communities. I said engagement is a really important part of making open science the norm. So we learned of a really nice initiative, open science communities, bottom-up learning communities for researchers, teachers, students to learn and share their practices and ideas on open science. So within the Netherlands, all of the Dutch universities, they have an open science community, but they're rapidly expanding because this idea is spreading fast. So what we wanted is that we create a network of open science communities within Aurora. So I'm very happy to say that right now, at the end of the project, 6 of our 9 Aurora partners have established their own local open science communities. And what we want to do, bringing it forward into Aurora 2030, is connect these more. So these are bottom-up communities at local universities that work together, have researchers, but also research support staff, learning and sharing open science practices. To bring these all into contact, we are looking into platforms to connect them. We've recently delivered the final report on this deliverable, but I'd like to highlight one thing that we built for this, to make sure that we could create these open science communities within the Aurora framework. We went into a collaboration with INOSC, the International Network of Open Science and Open Science Communities. They now have open science communities in 18 countries, 36 communities. We're rapidly expanding. And I'm very happy that Aurora, within our projects, we facilitated the creation of an incubator program, which still is given twice a year, with 10 participants every time to set up their own open science community. So this is now a 16-week online program with several modules on identity, engagement, strategy, how to get different stakeholders together, what the governance of an open science community could look like, and basically how to set up bring together all your open science enthusiasts at your university. As I said, we basically kickstarted this with INOSC. It is still offered free of charge. So thanks to our support from RI, but also Skills for EOSC program. So there is some sustainability to this program. I'm very happy to say that. I'd like to highlight one of our new open science communities, Open Science Community Olomouc. They were part of this, the first incubator program. I think that was early 2022. And they are piloting now on behalf of all of the Aurora universities, a Discord as a platform for communication. So what they have is multiple channels. The involved researchers and research support staff, they have Discord as a place for connecting, asking questions, giving answers, text chats, voice calls, live streams. You can set your identity as a researcher or research supporter. There are gamification tricks here. So we are eager to roll this out over the other universities as well, so that we can bring an open science enthusiast from Olomouc into contact with Amsterdam, Essen, Tarragona. What we are also going to do, especially for this training program and for these open science communities, is opening this up to our associate partners as well. So they weren't part of the Aurora RI scope, but we are very happy to add them to these programs. So this is what this program, what Discord looks like. It's a platform. It gives a platform for lively discussion on open science. So this was what we did within RI, but of course there's now Aurora 2030. So I'd like to take a short moment to look into the future as well. This is what I just talked about. We had 3 tasks. So this 6.1, the Aurora Open Science Monitor and this knowledge base. Then we had the training program, and we have our network of open science communities. Within Aurora 2030, we are part of task team work package 5, task team 5.3, which goes into infrastructure for open science and support for open science. So as you can see, we try to make sure that our work is not discontinued at the end of Aurora, but it transitions into our new activities within Aurora 2030. Yeah, so we are now at the start of Aurora 2030. We are here now, and we want to make sure that this we sustainably support open science within our institutions. So this is what that looks like. I'm part of the of this task 5.3. My colleague Maurice, who's also in this call, focuses on the infrastructure, which basically means the continuous development of this Aurora Open Science Monitor. And for the Vice Directors of Research in this meeting today, later this afternoon, you will meet Maurice in that meeting, because he will give an update on what we did in 5.3 and specifically what we need for this Aurora Research Monitor. I will focus on the support part. As I mentioned, we have our training program and we have our communities. We are very happy to continue working on that and to broadening the scope of these training opportunities specifically to not only focus on PhD candidates, but also on research support staff, because there are more tools, for example, within OpenAIRE that are very useful to research managers. So we would like to bring those into contact as well. That's part of our Aurora 2030 goal. That means that I've come to the end of this presentation, and I'd be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sander, for this very comprehensive presentation. Maybe what we do, we have at the end a round table discussion, so we can bring back the discussions, but maybe if there are 1 or 2 direct questions for clarity, I think that would be fine. But the rest we discuss later. Anybody?
Well, I put something in the chat. So something very down to earth. So where can I find more information about the basic software and data skills training on the platforms, and how you can access this as an employee of VU Amsterdam, for example?
The question specifically is about the data skills, the carpentries one.
I saw your slide with the carpentries and the other things, and I was just moving towards them. And I said, okay, if I now am a VU employee, how could I actually use these trainings? Where do I go to? How can I work with it?
Yes. So what we at VU, we organize these trainings for VU employees. I can share the link with you. What we've done so far for these training sessions is that we, as a task team, identify the sessions, and then we create a registration form at the university that hosts the workshop, and then send it out to wherever. So if that message hasn't reached you yet, I mean, unfortunately, our invitations don't go all the way through the organization, but I'd be very happy to link to any new presentations. We will publish this, but on the university websites. But
okay,
I can send the link. I can look up the link to these regular trainings so that you can see what they're about.
So my final question was, like, it's not on the invite, but it's like a broadly sent out invitation for PhDs to join.
Yes.
Okay, because I think they're very interesting. I'm involved in, well, teaching in general in bachelor's and master's, so it could maybe be spread even wider. Maybe could be used in regular courses at the university for like Bachelor 3, or maybe even for people working on their final thesis, etc. So I was just thinking about this idea.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd be very happy to spread this message further within VU, but also within the other Aurora universities, because the sessions have been full, but I think we haven't scratched the surface of the people that are actually interested in these types of.
I'm happy to collaborate and work with this, and I'll see you at
Fantastic.
VU at least. So yeah, no problem.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Sander, and thank you, Sylvester, for the question of dissemination. Are there any other questions before we move on? No? Okay. Then, once again, thank you, Sander, and we will come back to Open Science during our roundtable discussion, I guess. Let me now invite Gudmundur Halfdan from the University of Iceland. And I would like to invite you to provide the perspective from researcher on this RNI project.
You can see my slides now. Okay. Well, I will be talking mostly about Aurora 2030 and the possibilities of research cooperation in the present day Aurora, because I think what is happening now is that we are moving away from more kind of administrative part of research cooperation to more trying to involve us, the kind of practitioners of research in Aurora. So I think that is a very, very important step to go. My experience of Aurora stretches far back. I mean, I've been involved in Aurora from the beginning, before Aurora became a Aurora Alliance. So I approached it through my position as a Dean of School of Humanities, and I was therefore very much involved in Aurora, the first phase of Aurora, but less so in the present one. But I am a member of the Research Council of Aurora 2030, so I've been involved in the kind of deepening of the kind of research and the attempts to kind of create the kind of research community in Aurora, which I think is a crucial and extremely important part of building Aurora as a European university. And if you look at what these university alliances are, we have to go back and try to look at what we are trying to do with Aurora. What is Aurora? The idea of Aurora and all these European alliances comes from a speech that President Macron gave in 2017. He had then been president of France for about 4 months. This is in the wake of Brexit and the first election of Trump. Now we have the second election of Trump. So we are still facing the similar challenges as Macron was addressing in this speech, which were the kind of increasing nationalism, identitarianism, protectionism, and then kind of closed what he called chauvinism, where populists are playing on people's fears, and he wanted to then present a European future and using then the tools that the European community had been building, common strategic culture, ensuring sovereignty, digital transformation, industrial and monetary policies. But specifically what concerns us here is the creation of what he called European universities. And what he meant by that was to increase the kind of building on the various European projects which have been kind of creating this kind of university cooperation through the last decades, trying to increase the students' students' mobility, learning of languages, and the kind of awareness of the cultural diversity of Europe, and how we can use this cultural diversity in order to create a stronger European cooperation, which is then, in his view, would be then a kind of bulwark in kind of challenging and answering to the challenges of populists in Europe and beyond. And as you know, I mean, this moved through the European system quite quickly, so taken up by the European Council in December 2017, and this idea of European universities and this European Universities Initiative was launched in 2019 with the selection of 17 European universities. I put them in quotation mark here because the idea is that building a tighter cooperation of individual universities who would then build a kind of pan-European university. Aurora came into being in the second phase of this, so second call in 2020, and we have since then been participating in this idea of creating a European university. It was built on an existing consortium of research intensive universities, as Aurora consortium was called. It was formed in 1916, a kind of unifying and universities that prided themselves on being strong research universities, but were fairly small. Research was not a part of Aurora Alliance's remit in the beginning. It is hardly mentioned in the application, and in many ways it reflects Macron's vision, which was very much student-oriented, oriented at the students and their mobility. However, we had then later on, we had the Aurora Research and Innovation swaps, which we've been discussing here today. And it was very much focused on research administration, on sharing infrastructure, and open science, as we heard before, relation to society. These are all extremely important issues, I must emphasize, as we saw from both Svandís and the kind of Sanders' very detailed and very inspiring kind of description of how open science is being addressed in Aurora, which is one of the kind of main issues that are in a sense, we as a researchers, we know of open science, but it has been very difficult for us to kind of have it engaged in our daily work. But what I feel that I've been missing in Aurora so far is kind of engaging academic staff that is interested in research. That was not part of Aurora in the first phase, but is addressed more in Aurora 2030. There is a work package there on research, enhancing quality of research through Aurora Research Community. It is still very much oriented towards administrative issues, both task 5.1 and task 5.3, specifically continuing the research and the RI project of before, which is, I think, extremely important. We need to develop this further. However, there is this task 5.2, which is specifically addressing academic collaboration and community building. And there it is clear that Aurora has set its sights on, and as I say, enhancing quality research, establishing shared values across Aurora universities, encourage academic collaboration and further research cooperation, creating then a kind of Aurora research community. So this is the kind of clearly the vision of Aurora 2030, and I think this is crucial for the development of Aurora in the future. It's a clear shift in this because this is addressing the researchers directly, and this is a kind of way of involving the academic community in Aurora, which I have always felt is something that has been kind of lacking in Aurora. I mean, we need to involve the academic community and make Aurora part of their daily lives and their daily functions. So we had the first call in mid-February, and it was closed in end of April. There are 3 key actions involved in this. This is a fairly small and fairly inexpensive venture, but it's really aimed at creating these communities. That is what we are aiming for. So key action 1 was specifically directed at researchers, active researchers, faculty of the Aurora universities, called Incentive and Collaborative Research Project, creating concrete research activities by creating teams that would be working together across the Aurora universities. Then there are thematic schools directly focusing on young scholars mostly, and then short-term research secondments for early stage researchers. And it's clear that these are three different ways of approaching, first of all, trying to build communities of established academics, but then trying to train our young scholars, young research into cooperating in these research teams. Key action 1, which is aimed at creating these kind of research communities. There needs to be at least 2 full Aurora 2030 members, and the goal is to the call aims to support concrete exploratory research activities, experimental, theoretical, which could go beyond simple networking. It is really encouraging network and research cooperation and lay the groundwork for larger projects. These are 2-year projects, and networking is the main aim. Budget is fairly small in the European context. The maximum was 25,000 euros, and we did not reach that. The money was too limited, so we had to cut it down. The second key action are thematic summer schools, which are directly aimed at early stage researchers. This is a career development opportunity to bring scholars together, focusing on a defined thematic issue. This is also trying to build up a network community through bringing people together, and also to inculcate Aurora identity in the next generation of researchers. So this is focusing on a specific scientific theme, 1 to 2 weeks, shares of lectures and practical work or conferences, and then also at least 3 Aurora 2030 universities. Budget is up to 20,000 euros. And the third key action is our short-term research secondments. This is trying to encourage our young scholars to move, to work closely in another environment, go from the university to another Aurora university in order to train, to build new connections, to give the candidates skills that they needed in the future research. This is this key action was not funded by Aurora 2030, but funded by the universities themselves, mostly through Erasmus or mobility funds that they provided. The first round was now in 2024. It was fairly successful, I must say. In key action 1, we had 23 applications. There was a quite good disciplinary and geographic spread. There were many excellent projects, and we selected 7, and you can see it on this here on the side. The projects that we selected. We had to limit the funds to 12,000, 16,000 euro grants, which means that this is not really research projects. These are not, we are not financing research, we are financing networking, meetings, opportunities to write applications, creating, in order to create viable research consortiums. And those who have been involved in European research know that the only way to really to be successful in applying for funds in the kind of larger schemes in European Research Council or in Horizon, you need to have strong foundation cooperation existing before. And this creates opportunity to create this kind of consortium in Aurora. All academics in Europe and beyond, they have their international cooperation, but that international cooperation is not limited to or directed towards Aurora. It's built on through all kinds of contacts. So what this does is to try to focus this kind of building of research communities inside Aurora in order to facilitate the kind of cooperation and the kind of fostering the idea that Aurora exists. The summer schools, we selected 2 summer schools. We had 3 applications and we had limited funds, so we selected 2. And then there was a number, about 12 or 13 secondments. That was, this is a fairly interesting option, but it needs clear goals and structures. It was not very clear, I think, for the applicants, what the kind of main idea was, how to build these kind of connections. And the applications came only from 3 universities, going to 7 host institutions. So if this needs to be developed a little bit further. If you look at Aurora and Aurora's future, I think Macron's vision was very much politically motivated. European cooperation in the sciences and in the universities is political. It aims at creating a European community, European identity through university education and through research. And this is just as valid as it was in 2017. And it builds on European diversity. We are not trying to make a university that runs on one language. We are trying to foster cooperation that is built on European kind of diversity and the kind of cultural richness. This has been the foundational European educational area from the beginning, but has it worked? Have we created this kind of European community? I think only partly. We have never reached. We have all kinds of through the decades. I've seen all kinds of lofty goals of student mobility, but we have never achieved these goals. And the academic staff, I think, their participation in these projects have been limited and needs to be broadened. So the challenge is that, in my view, as a researcher, is that the European cooperation ventures are too segmented. We have very strong research funds. We have student mobility. We have teaching mobility, but these are all kind of split into the kind of segmented funding schemes, which I am, as a university academic professor, I do not work in this kind of segmented way. My research and my teaching, this is all combined. So I think we need to kind of combine our work as teachers and as researchers. And the main problem is, of course, that the university funding is primarily national, and we work for our universities. Our time schedules are defined by our national funding bodies. So it is very difficult, for example, to integrate European teaching into the schedules of the universities, because people have their responsibilities towards their national university, not through Aurora. I think basically we need to break out of this kind of national mold, and I think the University Alliances are a very interesting attempt to do it. we need to create what I call the organic intra-university cooperation. And this will only happen if we want it to happen. We need to do it. We cannot just do it through administrative cooperation. We need to do it through organic cooperation between university teachers, between academics who work with the students on both kind of creating to make the kind of European cooperation a part of our general work as university teachers, both for our students and for ourselves. So that was what I was thinking.
Well, thank you so much for your reflection, and thank you for also bringing us back to Macron 2017 to have a bit of a historic perspective here. I think it was also good to have some some critical notes here. You know, what did we achieve and what we did not achieve, given the framework and the circumstances. So thank you very much. And I would like now, if you don't mind, I would like to open the round table. Maybe you can stretch your legs a little bit or move a bit. Meanwhile, so I'd like to open the discussion, and for the discussion, I would like to invite Martin Schwell. Martin is Vice Rector of European Affairs at UPEC. And I would also like to invite to the virtual round table, Halldor Jonsson. And Halldor is the head of division Science and Innovation at the University of Iceland. So welcome, both of you. So we got now an overview from three speakers, from Svandi, Sander, and Gudmundur. They showed us various dimensions of what the RNI program was about, how it lives in Aurora 2030, how we continue some of the aspects. But the big question obviously is now, how do we proceed from here? And how do we establish, or how do we maintain what Svandis was calling the trust, the network? How do we maintain that through meaningful projects? So I would like first, I will ask Martin and Halldor for some reflections, but then afterwards I would obviously also open the floor to whoever would like to comment or ask questions directly to one of the speakers, or to comment on what we are doing here. So Martin, maybe I start with you. And I think Gudmundur touched upon that. He showed how, and also Sander, how aspects of the RNI program are part of Aurora 2030 Alliance program. But this is rather limited, and we explained that because it is an Erasmus Plus funded program, so the teaching is or education is rather prominent. But Martin, how do you see, in general terms, how do you see the future of RNI within Aurora on the long term, also beyond the 2030 program? And what do you like to see more, actually?
Yeah, thank you, Ramon, for this introduction. I hope you can hear me nicely. Okay, great. So let me start with some congratulations. As you know, UPEC has not been part of the RNI program, but I'm really impressed what has been achieved on collaboration on research support. Now, I mean, it's really the basis to go forward now, and it's really strong, I find. So the open science tools, research, the platforms, internal, external one, and also what we didn't discuss today is science with citizens. I know there are things that have been done, and the training tools. So I'm really impressed about it, and I may not be aware of all the benefits this program has generated, because we are not part of it, but so I apologize in advance if I miss some. So yeah, but now what next? So what is the future of all this? And so, of course, so Gudmundo, you talked also about education, that we didn't reach the number of students. I won't focus on this today. But so it's about research today. So yeah, what makes I have the same impression than Gudmundur. Then we need to bring more academics in. No, that's in the beginning when I was 2 years ago when I connected to Aurora. I had also this impression that it's especially the research part that it lacks academics. So that's really so. What kind of one can ask? You can ask yourself what kind of academics there are. The young researchers, the senior researchers. Although the young researchers are, for me, they are key for the long-term sustainability of the European university. No, because if we succeed in giving them a strong Aurora identity, they might stick to Aurora on the long term. So I think the young researchers are really key, and because I see them here, many of them are many students and also doctoral students are very enthusiastic about this movement. So we should benefit from this and try to involve them as much as possible. This is really key for me. But the senior researchers are also important. They're also key because they develop actually the framework of the projects and where the young researchers can evolve. No, the young doctoral student is involved in the research. He's working in a research group under the supervision of the senior researchers. So the senior researchers are also important. We have to connect them too because they have to provide the common projects where the young researchers can evolve. So we need to involve both populations, let me say. No. So Gudmundur, you see already. So what we can do is to bring academics in. We have to run calls. I think that's necessary. It's a little top down, of course, because okay, no, suddenly people have to work with Aurora. Then can have questions why now this, and why can I not continue to work with my older friends? But so that's a strategic issue, of course, and so we need to put some money on the table, and we need a little bit. I hope that we can convince the institutions to put a little more money to this call to make it really sustainable. But of course, also so that's one point. And the second point is also that, of course, there are all these spin-offs of Aurora. I find them also quite important. But Aurora is, as you say, Ramon, it's the mothership, no? Then we have the spin-offs, and there are a few now, quite encouraging. And so because of course in Europe you have all these counters where you can go for to apply for money, and important money. It's quite it's a lot of money which you can gain there, and so that's where the support stuff again comes in. So we need also, that's my second point, we need also to make our work together, the admins, of course. And so we have and you have progressed on this way. There are R&I coordinators now, and I would like to make a little suggestion. I think it's also important to connect the heads of the science divisions together. No? So we have Haldor here, who's head of the science division, but I don't think we have other heads of science division. I think we should connect them too. Okay, and another suggestion is also we need to exploit more the vice rector of research. And when I say exploit, I think we should use their knowledge of universities better, because vice rector of research has a really good knowledge what is going on in the universities. Now they are interacting with all the research units from morning to afternoon every day, so they know in detail what is happening. So we could trigger them a little bit and seeing if we cannot find common subjects to work on, common topics. No, so it would be also a little bit top down, but I think it would be a good thing. Okay, and yes, maybe one last thing, then I finish. It's about assessment. As Gudmund mentioned, it's tasking point 5.1. It's about building a group of practitioners of Aurora practitioners working on reform of research assessment. As you know, there's the European agreement, COAHA, on this. And I think there also we can learn a lot from each other, because assessment practices are quite different in the different universities in Aurora. And it has the potential, I think, to build a stronger Aurora identity if we succeed to agree on a set of common things that we want to push forward. So I will stop here with some reflections and leave the floor to Haldor.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Thank you for your reflections. And yeah, indeed, I'd like to move on to Haldor. Haldor, you've been involved here since the birth of the RNI, basically. So, can you, very similar question as to Martin, can you provide your reflections on the program itself, but also how we strategically move forward and what we need for that?
You're muted.
Yeah, you're please unmute yourself.
Do you hear me now? Yes, okay. Thank you very much. And I just want to start with thanks to all the presenters, Svandís, Sander, and Guðmundur Hálfdánarson. It's a very easy to pronounce. And yes, I think we are now, of course, at the end of this project, and I think we have a very good tools in our hands for the future. And I just want to, since you said that I have been here from the beginning, probably maybe for a little bit too long time, but I was there in 2016 when the Aurora was founded, and it was very good atmosphere at the meetings taking place at Vrije Universiteit Amsterdam. And some of us in the audience, some people in the audience were there as well. I won't do any name droppings at the moment, but what I think is important for us now is that we have to reflect a little bit on the history. And I know that Guðmundur agrees with that. History is important. We have to, I would like to remind us what Aurora in 2016 was all about. It was more or less about research. It was research-driven group of enthusiastic rectors and presidents from different European universities, and their main aim was strengthening their collaboration in terms of co-publication. They were very occupied with bibliometrics, with rankings, with sharing infrastructures, with research infrastructures, and training young researchers. These were the research passport, for example, was there already in 2016, and so they were very busy with these kinds of things. But in the aftermath of 2017, we of course went through a kind of a transition or shift more towards education with the Alliance, of course, to education, mobility, transition of universities, all these political things Guðmundur mentioned before. And the Alliance is much more, very understandably, more student-orientated than Aurora was in the early days, if you like. So, but the core values in the beginning were like Aurora wanted to be a consortium of like research-intensive universities, and with the emphasis on commitment to societal impact, social responsibilities, things like that. And I say that the SWAF project came as a great opportunity. It was a kind of a shift a little bit back to the basics, to the roots of Aurora or to the basic elements of Aurora towards like research and innovation and support services for research. And I would say we have learned earlier today, we have learned about all the outcome, all the results, and we have there very good modules, I would say, of tools and toolkits and packages, which will be very beneficial for our partner institutions. But what I think is by far the most important outcome here is probably the latter one, which is the trust building we are through during this process over the past few years. And I think what we are now witnessing is that, of course, it's fairly easy, we can say, it's fairly easy to share strengths and best practices, share our strength, but I think we have reached now the level of trust we need to share weaknesses. And I think this is probably the most...
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. I think your audio is not very well. Can you maybe switch it on, switch it off? There's some interference here. I don't know, or that could be mine, but can you maybe switch it on and off?
Okay, done that already. Is it better now?
It seems to be better, yeah.
Okay, I was just claiming that the most important outcome of the project is the building of the trust between the partners and between especially I would say the science and innovation and research support services within our partner universities. And I think that this kind of trust that we have now will allow us to share more than our strength. It will probably allow us to share weaknesses and more delicate data and information about ourselves. And I think that this is the leverage we need to build on in the future, and maybe we will come back to that later. I'll stop here. Sorry about my audio.
No worries, that happens. Thank you, Hauder, for your reflection. Maybe it's also time to open the floor. If one of you has a question for one of the speakers or a general comment, so please, I'd like to open up the roundtable to the community. Maybe we do it by raising the online hand. No? Okay, then I maybe I do a couple of questions. I think it has been mentioned by Gudmundur in his presentation, and I think this is also something what personally I find extremely important is how does the whole pipeline work, engaging students, maybe even at bachelor level, bachelor, master, graduate, into early research careers. So how do we establish this pipeline, and obviously how do we also get rid of this fragmentation? And so that would be for me an essential question, also to beside now the funding opportunities, which probably are fragmented and limited, how do we internally go about? So maybe Gudmundur, maybe I can, because you touched upon that during your presentation, but maybe can you elaborate a bit further on that? How because I heard you also saying that that it's important for your academic life, And I think it's also what we would like to see students, and maybe later also, because I saw Sylvester, maybe Sylvester, you can also touch upon that from the educational point of view. So maybe, but first, Gudmundur, maybe your reflection.
Yeah, I mean, in many ways, this has been the challenge that I've seen in Aurora from the beginning, and very much in the kind of this European initiative, because it is extremely difficult to involve academics into this. I mean, and I think one of the main reasons, if I look at it as an academic, the main reason is that our time is kind of allotted by the universities. The universities that we are working in creates the kind of system of calculating how we spend our time. So it is very difficult, for example, if you want to teach in a course that is in cooperation between Aurora universities, it is more or less you have to do it on your own free time. And it is, I must admit, very difficult to convince my colleagues that they have any free time at all. And to spend it on Aurora is not something that they want to do. But I think basically, in a sense, that universities are based on this kind of Humboldtian idea that we kind of research and education is kind of somehow united. And I think this fragmentation I was talking about is kind of works against this idea, because we have this kind of research funds and we have these kind of teaching funds, and they do not kind of cooperate. I think Aurora and these European university initiatives are extremely kind of good ideas in kind of breaking down this kind of segmentation. And I think we are taking the first steps, and working with Matthias and Martin and Marie in kind of evaluating these applications. I was surprised in many ways how interesting and good they were, and we had the problem of selecting them. So I think we are taking these steps, but we are just beginning to take this kind of small steps in trying to weave together these kind of different aspects in our lives, teaching our students, doing our research, and working across national boundaries. But there are so many different challenges that we face. In teaching, for example, one of the big challenges is that our semesters are totally different. So it's very difficult to find time where we can bring our students together inside of the academic calendar. So Europe is a diverse place. That is one of its strengths, but it's also one of its difficulties. And I think also that for researchers, it is important to bring them together. I mean, I like Zoom, but Zoom is not good at bringing, kind of creating communities. It is good for communicating with people that you know. It is not very good at as to create the kind of trust between people. So I think basically in our research council, we held our first meeting in C2 in Paris, and I thought that was very important for us. And it's clear that the main objective of our research initiative in Aurora is to kind of bring people somewhere, to bring them together. And I think that is an extremely important part of creating a community. You do not create community online. You create a community, real community, in bringing people together where they can talk together, and the ideas are usually do not come out of the meetings, but come out of the dinners or coffee breaks, where people come and discuss rather impromptu, and that is how we bring people together and create communities. So I think this is something that I find interesting and valuable in this kind of initiative in Aurora 2030, that our main kind of focus is on bringing people together. Others have to pay for the real money for other funds have to pay the real money for the research, and so I think we are on the right track. What do you think, Matthias and Martin, about that?
Yeah, Matthias, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so thank you for organizing this meeting, and it's really amazing how smooth, in a sense, the transition between RI and the work package 5 is. Because we saw that we have part of it integrated into the work package, maybe not all, but we have this the part 5.1 and 5.3, like Gudmundur said, and we have the new challenge that Gudmundur, thank you for really putting this historical perspective of the Aurora development. So that is we have this new challenge for bringing the researchers on board in the task 5.2. So we have really more seamless transition between RI and work package 5, even if work package 5 is less large than your RI project has been. It's only part of Aurora, but we have this transition, and so I'm really happy about that. I'm happy contributing to bringing researchers together, and I think this is something which historically I did not know that was one of the aims at the beginning of Aurora, but it comes back now, and it is needed because we have then teachers, administrator, and researchers, and all these three communities working together. As practically speaking, it's also that it has difficulties to do that in Aurora 2030 because the funding for that is limited, and we saw that the interest in this call was so large that selecting only a few of the proposed projects and giving them less money than initially foreseen can create also frustrations. So we have to be sure that the means that we have at our disposal, they are a little bit corresponding to our overall aims that we put forward. And if we think that for Aurora it is a strategic aim that the researchers work together, we have to enable ourselves and have the capacity to do that really. And we have been not later than yesterday discussing with the presidents of the universities, with the rectors of the universities about this, and ask them to put a little bit more money on the call, for example, and that would enable us to support much more of the 89, we counted 89 research groups from the different universities that were answering to this call, to the first round of the call with research projects. So they were receptive to this, and I hope they can finally. They need to decide that if each university can a little bit contribute to this action, and I think that would be a really good thing to go forward with this call. Yeah. So this is the statement from Work Package 5 that I would like to do. A more personal statement is that I'm happy to be here today. I think as many of you were puzzled by what has been going on in the elections in US, and maybe in our working life we have a little chance to build something else and positive in Europe, which is related to what's going on in US. And I think we need to be more. We need to be more. The one thing is to strengthen European collaboration in many different ways. This is one of the possible answers to what is happening right now. And so it's good that we can do that, and that we are 90 persons here in that meeting to talk about these things. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Matthias. Any other comments?
You asked me to say something.
Yeah, I did ask you. Yeah, I asked you, Sylvester.
Yeah. So I'm obliged now to do something.
Yeah,
nice to see you again, Ramon. No, what I could add is that we were just involved in the task team 2.2 to get a hub going on digital society and global citizenship. And I was not involved before with this particular thing, but I was more involved in the beginning. And indeed, for say joint education or exchange in education, I can agree with what other people have said about it. It's quite complicated to get teachers involved. If it were alone for like all the semesters that are different, organized in every university, that makes it rather complicated on a practical level, which is indeed the case, I think. The other thing is that teachers really look a lot at themselves. So what's in it for me, and how can I benefit, and how can I work with it? And I want to give one example that I thought was very interesting, is that we organize at the university the summer schools and also the winter schools. And they are a means, and I saw it also in the presentation that I just saw in the beginning of this whole presentation. They work quite well for our teachers in our university, and it's because of a particular thing. So they feel free to put up topics they find very interesting for themselves, that are very current, that could also align with Aurora or university visions on teaching and education. There's quite a good quality control with it. I'm in the quality board of this school, and the fact is that these teachers get paid for teaching these courses in a way that is beneficial for themselves. So they buy actual research time by conducting these courses, and they get to know very interesting students also that might be of interest for their future research. So this works quite well, actually. And I think we could think more about, well, how could these summer courses or winter school courses be more well enlivened even more in Aurora terms. I get the impression at the view that they're actually moving away a little bit to the other side because of, well, we have all kinds of stuff with budget cuts and whatever. And we also have like new financial rules that it's quite difficult for teachers to get the money for these summer courses in their, say, their own account. It now goes to the faculty account or their research group account. So it's more difficult for them to get hold of the money. And it's really a big driver for them. So they put in efforts and they get paid for it. And then they can really work on their own research projects or teaching projects. So this is a little reflection of me, Ramon, about well, teaching and learning and joint courses.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvester, for your reflection. And I think it was just to try to combine also the whole pipeline of education and research, and engage specifically students more in research activities. Martin, maybe one of the last comments, because then I would like also slowly round up, but I see a hand.
Yes, shortly on this for teaching, we're shifting a little bit towards teaching, but I'm also a supporter of Humboldt, but for me, teaching and research is anyway a unit. So one of the, I'm approached a lot by teachers here, no, in UPEC, and in fact, what they want to do is they want to somehow promote what they are already teaching and what they are paid for to Aurora, no, so attract students to their courses. We are in the process of making sort of a task force because there are so many demands on this specific thing that we are creating a task force to somehow analyze with them together if it is possible to open it to Aurora University. It's not always possible, but it's on the master level. I think it's a good perspective. So we as Aurora people should be very open to this, no, possibility to bring teachers in. So that's the point. And I also wanted to say. I totally agree with Gudmundur that you do not build trust on Zoom and do not make communities on Zoom. So we have to go further to meet, no? And that's yeah, that's the two things I wanted to listen. Short comment.
Okay, thank you. I see another hand by Gudmundur.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in continuation of the idea of summer schools. Summer schools are part of one of our key actions, and they are also clearly created to create this kind of pipeline that you were talking about, Ramon, bringing together young researchers, master students, doctoral students, and scholars in one place, focusing on a certain theme. So creating the kind of research community among the young researchers, but also kind of training them in research on kind of cooperative research. So I think summer schools are good, but we only had two possibility to fund two of them, but two are two, so better than none.
The secondments are also in this kind of philosophy. The secondments of young researchers, no, they're important too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
6 and 3.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I was very much aware that there was also recently one of these summers, or not some of these, one of these events in Austria, in Matrei, if I'm correct, organized by University of Innsbruck. No, these are really good examples. Haldor.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to draw the attention back to the R&I project and the possible continuation of it, of the modules there. And I think someone mentioned the Vice Rector Research Group. I think that group could be instrumental in initiating and supporting further collaboration in this area. And I know that some of us will be discussing the future role of that group later this afternoon, so that could be an input there. But I think there is one key issue here that we need to address regarding this. I think because we have already built up this trust and these people, the research managers of our universities, they have been instrumental in producing this outcome we have here today. And that what we need in the future, we need some kind of ongoing understanding from the leadership of the universities for these people to be able to collaborate further, to take their ideas and very important toolkits and things like that a little bit further. I think we need to allow some time, some kind of other resources like small travel funding and things like that for continuation in networking. So I think I just wanted to mention this because I think if we are going to pull this off, we need these people to be driving the wagon, if you like. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very good point. And this is indeed important to maintain this infrastructure. If are there any questions or more questions from the audience? No. What I propose then that we slowly round off because later this afternoon we have 2 further meetings. The Vice Rector's Research and separately the Vice Rector's Education will meet. But let me thank again all the speakers of today for your commitment here and also your energy in preparing this event. I think it's very helpful. What are the next steps actually? And so I think Haldor and Svandís already hinted towards that. So this was also meant to round up, to celebrate, also to have some ideas. We will also do it in a more structured way. So there will be obviously a final report of the R&I program, and there will be recommendations in that report. This will be obviously discussed with the board, but also as it has been mentioned before, I think the Vice Rector's Research should have a very strong position here, and also in terms of recommendations. So this will be then the next step, so that we see how do we maintain, how do we develop further, and these are also strategically very important questions for me. But today I'm really very happy that you were all here and that you are so many here, and I hope we gave you a program which inspired. So I hope there was some learning here because we have to keep on learning. So I thank you once again, all the speakers, and well, thank you. And picking up on what Gudmundur said, this online thing is not the thing. We see each other all in Paris and before maybe in other circles, but Paris will be the place. And I see Martin is smiling, but he has the task to prepare that with his colleagues. So we see each other all in end of May at UPEC. Thank you so much, and well, have a very good day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.